session is a new framework for distributed submodular maximization by Rafael Barbosa, Alina Ene, Hui Wen, and Justin Ward, and Rafael is giving the talk.
Thank you. So I'd like to first start by defining what's submodularity. I'm assuming most people here know, but it's a property of set functions. So there are a few equivalent ways of defining such functions. Perhaps the most intuitive one is through the notion of diminishing returns, which is as we grow our set, the gain of adding an actual element can only decrease. So in other words, if we have sets A and B, A containing B, the gain of adding an element X to A must be at least the gain of adding the same element X to B. Okay, so as motivation, let me talk about some examples of submodular functions. So for instance, covariant functions are submodular. In this case, we have a ground set is a collection of sets, and the value of the function is the number of each set covers a number of points, and the value of the function is the number of points covered by the sets we've chosen. Okay, so in this example, we picked those two lighter sets, and the two cover 12 points. So another example is ad allocation. So in this case, we have users and we have advertisers, and we want to each advertiser is willing to pay a submodular function for a subset of advertisers or of users, sorry, and we want to find the partition of the users that maximizes the revenue. Third example is data summarization. So in this case, we have a collection of elements, and we have also a similarity function between every pair of elements, and we want to find a small representative summary in this data set. So this is a tiny images data set which contains 80 million images, and say we want to find some of these images that cluster this data. So that's one that can be modeled as a submodular maximization problem as well. So the key problem we're interested here is we want to maximize a submodular function subject to some constraint that can be cardinality or matroid. Okay? So what are known algorithms for, or how can we go about solving such problems? So perhaps the most natural or intuitive way to solve these is through the greedy algorithm. So the greedy algorithm runs like this. We have our entire data set, and we compute the marginals on top of our current solution. Okay, let's say that these are the marginals. We pick the element with the largest marginal, and we include in the solution. And now we recompute the marginals on top of the current solution. We again pick the one that has the largest gain, and we proceed like that for the third element until we've reached the solution. So okay, greedy is very simple, but remarkably, it's been shown already in the 70s that it performs quite well for monotone functions. Namely, it achieves a constant factor approximation. And Nimhauser, Volsi, and Fisher showed that one can achieve 1 minus 1 over E approximation for monotone functions. And and one can also achieve a half approximation for matrix. Sorry, the first one is for cardinality. For matrix constraints, one can achieve a half approximation. Okay. So in addition to that, there's also a continuous version of the greedy algorithm, which I'm not going to define here, but essentially it optimizes an extension of the submodular function over the constraint polytope. And if we use this continuous version, under matrix constraints, one can achieve 1 minus 1 over E approximation ratios for monotone functions and 1 over E for non-monotone. Okay? So these results are quite good, but there is a problem. Greedy is inherently sequential, which makes it probably unsuitable for large data sets. So that raises the question, can we parallelize these algorithms? One first approach to that problem was to, well, we considered our entire data set, and we randomly partitioned this data onto the machines, and we run greedy on each machine to get a solution. Now, we group all the solutions on one machine and run greedy again. And that's the output of our algorithm. So one can show that if greedy achieves the C approximation, then this randomized distributed greedy into round achieves a C over 2 approximation for monotone functions. A bit worse for non-monotone. And also, it's worth mentioning the work of Mirakni and Zadimogadam, where they essentially show that if each machine outputs a larger number of elements, then one can achieve a battered-in-half approximation under cardinality constraints for monotone functions, among other results. So, okay, we have this result, but that leads to another question. Can we parallelize these algorithms with almost no loss? So here we're losing half from greedy. Can we parallelize these algorithms with almost no loss? And the answer is yes, we can if we run for a few more rounds. Okay, so the main result we've obtained is a framework for parallelizing a class of algorithms, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, with almost no loss. So more formally, if an algorithm in this class achieves a C approximation, then this distributed framework achieves a C minus epsilon approximation in O of 1 over epsilon rounds. So before I go into the details, what is the framework? So again, we have our entire data set. We randomly partition the data on the machines. We construct solutions using chosen algorithm on each machine. We again group these solutions on one machine. Run the algorithm to obtain another solution on that machine, and then now we add the solution to a core set. Okay? And then we go for the second run, where we consider the whole data set again. We randomly partition this data. We proceed like the same, but now we add the core set on top of the elements sent to each machine. Okay, and now we run the same algorithm to obtain solution on each machine, group them on one machine, run the algorithm again, and now add that solution to the core set. Okay, and we proceed like that over. We grow this core set over one of our absent rounds. And we can show that by then we're going to have a good solution, so that if we run our algorithm on that core set, we're going to obtain a good approximation. Okay? So, okay, what is the so now let me talk about the class of algorithms that that I was talking about. So what property do we want in the algorithm? So we take inspiration from greedy and continuous greedy. And how do we capture at an abstract level the greedy behavior? Or how does greedy algorithm makes choices? So one answer to that is that greedy makes consistent choices. And what do I mean by that? So let's see the execution of, well, a property of the greedy algorithm. So let's say we have two disjoint sets, A and B, and let's say that greedy running on A union the first element of B has the same output as greedy running on A alone. And the same happens for all elements of B. Then what one can show is that greedy running on A union B is going to have the same output as greedy running on A. That is, greedy is going to leave the elements of B out consistently. So if we have these, then we have the last one. So at a more generally, at an abstract level, let's say that we considered our algorithms to output also a relevant set. And what is this relevant set? So in the case of greedy, it's the solution. In the case of continuous greedy, it's the support of a fractional solution. Okay? And if we have these, so if greedy doesn't include in the set of relevant elements any of these elements of B, then we want the solution of our algorithm running on A union B to be the same as the solution of the algorithm running on A. Okay? So in other words, this is the property we require for the algorithm. Essentially, this is satisfied by greedy and continuous greedy, but our framework holds for all algorithms satisfied. So in other words, we have a framework for parallelizing any consistent algorithm with almost no loss. And we also recover, so for the most part of the talk, I was only talking about results for monotone functions, but we're also able, the framework is also able to recover vast approximation for both monotone and non-monotone functions. So, okay, I'm not going to talk about the details in the proof, but one intuition, so what is the intuition behind the analysis? the main intuition behind the analysis is that each round adds some elements of op to our core set. So that if we grow our core set over all of one of our epsilon rounds, in expectation we have either found a C minus epsilon approximation in one of the executions in one of those machines, or that core set is going to contain all of them. And then when we run on a machine, we're going to have a good approximation. Okay, so let me summarize. We have proposed a framework for parallelizing sequential algorithms for submodular functions with almost no loss. And we also get the techniques lead to fast sequential algorithms for non-monotone maximization subject to majoid constraints. And improved two-round approximations for non-monotone maximization subject to hereditary constraints. Okay, thanks. Well, one thing we need to worry about is the number of elements that are going to be included in the core set. So we kind of need to restrict the value of a solution. So essentially, double greedy could output large numbers. So yeah, need to worry about communication and storage. In expectation, yeah.